Hi, I'm Dr. Shammick Kotecha from the Kotecha GPS Club, and today we're joined by Melissa Lush from Force of Nature company out of the United States. They make a disinfectant product that makes hypochlorous acid or electrolyzed water. So first, I want to thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So before I go any further, I'm just going to have a little disclosure. Anything you read on this, see on this, we talk about in this webinar is for information purposes only. And I encourage you to do your own research before you use any products. And there's been no financial compensation for this. This is just me trying to find out more information about hydrochlorous acid. So Melissa, once again, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. She's one of the co-founders of Force of Nature. So she's going to give us some information on their product and how we as dentists can use it. And as being a dental study club, a large proportion of what I'm going to do is going to be dentally skewed. But I believe that this product can be used in a lot of different areas. And personally, I use some of this stuff in my house. So they have this little device here behind me that you can make your own hypochlorous acid or electrolyzed water. I'm going to just turn it on, and while we're it takes about 9 minutes to work. So while we're watching, you get a little capsule like this, and you just turn it on, just squirt it in there. And while we're working, we will see the lights changing. You can see it turns blue there, and you'll see it start fizzing in a while. So Melissa, I'm going to ask you first, a lot of people don't know, what is hypochlorous acid or electrolyzed water?
Electrolyzed water is a really interesting technology that's been around in the industrial space for over 50 years. And it's pretty simple chemistry, and you just use electricity and electrical current to change the chemical composition of salt, water, and vinegar into two new ingredients. So it's a simple chemical reaction. And the two ingredients that it creates are, one is a detergent, and it's a very common detergent used in products ranging from toothpaste, skin moisturizers, sunscreens, all the way to cleaning products, varying concentrations. And it's called sodium hydroxide. The second ingredient, which is kind of the hero ingredient of it all, is called hypochlorous acid. Mm-hmm. And hypochlorous acid is a very safe, non-toxic disinfectant, and it's actually more effective than bleach. But it kills 99.9% of germs. It's, you can spray it on any surface without rinsing. It's incredibly safe. And because it's so safe and effective, it's used in products like wound healing products, mm-hmm. eye care, veterinary care products. So it's got a wide range of uses. So back to electrolyzed water, being in the industrial space, it's made typically in these big, huge tanks. And it's typically produced on site and used the same day. And that's really what happens in the industrial space. So we took that technology and miniaturized it so that the average family or business could make it right on their own countertops.
Okay. So how does Force of Nature make this disinfectant? So what's going on behind me? Why don't we explain what's going on in that 9-minute time frame?
Yeah, so there's a chemical reaction that's happening right now, and the electrical current is essentially breaking apart the molecules of salt, water, and vinegar, and in the process of reforming them into these new molecules, one of which will be the detergent, the other type will be the disinfectant. So that's really, it's happening right there. It takes, as you said, about 9 minutes for that full chemical change to happen. And then when it's done, you pour it into a spray bottle and use it like you would any other cleaner and disinfectant. And just one thing about the chemistry that's sort of interesting, in the industrial space, you don't typically see vinegar. It's just salt and water. And the reason we use vinegar, it's a pH adjuster, which means that we can create the right concentration of hypochlorous acid so that you get it a kill rate for bacteria and viruses that meets EPA standards for a full 2 weeks. Because one of the interesting things about hypochlorous acid and why you don't really see it in bottles sold on store shelves is that it has a shelf life. So sort of like soda, the bubbles dissipate over time. Same idea, it wants to gas off. So because of this 2-week shelf life, you make it fresh in an appliance, like Force of Nature or in the industrial space. And so we use the vinegar to ensure that you have the right concentration of hypochlorous acid for a full 2 weeks.
It's good. It's great. We all like fresh stuff, so it makes it easier. Now, as a dentist, I'm going to say, how do I, as in my daily practice, put this into use? Like, where have you seen your dentist buying it, or any suggested uses that you have for us?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say the first thing is patient and staff infection control and safety. So because it is an EPA registered disinfectant that's approved for use in hospitals, ICUs, medical clinics, dental clinics, of all sorts, it's you can use it to disinfect and sanitize surfaces in those places. So it kills 99.9% of germs. So, bacteria and viruses like staph and salmonella and listeria, norovirus, influenza, etc. But right now, of course, on top of everyone's mind is SARS-CoV-2, or the cause of COVID-19. And it is EPA approved for use against SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, which is a huge reason why we're getting a lot of dental practices coming to us. The other thing is, with the epidemic, cleaning and disinfecting protocols and habits have changed so dramatically, as you know, whereas you didn't have to. You did it on a regular basis, I'm sure, at your practice and others, but now you're doing it much more frequently. And so your staff and patients are exposed to disinfectant chemicals on a much larger, consistent basis. So that's the other reason why a disinfectant like Force of Nature that's non-toxic can help, because you're not constantly exposing your staff and patients to harmful chemicals. So it's something like 40% of people have asthma or allergies. And for those people, it is really difficult to be around conventional disinfectants. So that's a big concern, I think, why a lot of doctors and dentists are coming to us.
I have one staff member that has very sensitive skin, and she used different, because we've been importing or buying so many different products that we never had before for cleaning, not our operatories. So we've always wiped down everything, but now some of the common areas where we didn't wipe, we had cleaning service come at the end of the day or at the end, a few times a week, but now we're doing it so often. She broke out with very bad skin reaction from where she didn't think she should wear gloves. She just squirted on a paper towel, and the next day I looked at her hand and I read the ingredients. There's a lot of very harmful chemicals in there. I mean, they're protecting us. So, but there are a ramification of that,
Right.
So it's important, you've answered some of the questions. The one question every dentist, every practitioner wants to know is, how does it work against COVID-19? Is there a time frame you have to leave it on then, or is it just spray and wipe or spray and leave for 5 minutes? What is the Force of Nature protocol with that?
That is a really important question. So dwell time is the amount of time that a disinfectant has to be on a surface in order to meet EPA required kill rates. And so typically during the EPA registration process, you test across a range of microbes across a specified dwell time. And at the end of that dwell time, you need to have shown that you kill 99.9% of those microbes over that dwell time. Most companies choose a 10-minute dwell time. That's the most common. A lot of people don't know that. If you see a lot of people's behavior, they will spray and wipe. which is not what you want to be doing. You want to give it time to, first of all, you want to spray the surface until it's thoroughly wet. So it needs to come into contact with the whole surface, right? And then you want to leave it for 10 minutes. And so typically what happens if you spray it until it's wet and then just let it dry naturally, you're going to hit the 10-minute dwell time. But even with products like bleach, Lysol, traditional disinfectant sprays, it's a 10-minute dwell time, and most people don't know that. Now, one thing is that it doesn't take 10 minutes to kill every single microbe. It's, it's dependent on the microbe. So the dwell time that you choose is sort of the max to be able to kill that 99.9% across all bugs. So that's why dwell time is a really important question.
Important. So I was going to ask about the EPA determines standard, but you just answered that for me on how they test it. Is there any other testing that they do that lets it get onto? Now, I'm in Canada, we use Health Canada, but EPA they're largely very similar in their standards from what I've read. Is there any other testing they do, or is it just dwell time is generally what it comes down to?
So they look at a few other things. So you test across a range of pathogens. You choose the dwell time. They look at the consistency of your results across multiple batches of product. They look at your ingredient purity, they look at your suppliers, all of that. It's as rigorous as you would hope it would be, because obviously this is, a big safety issue. Yeah. So yeah, that's from an EPA standpoint, it's very rigorous, and that's how it works.
Okay. So, as most of my audience are dentists who own, a large part of them own practices. How much does this stuff cost, and how, that's something I'm a business owner, if something, even if I want to be natural, if it costs 10 times what my other one does, I'm probably not going to do that. But so what is the force in nature? There's a cost for the original hardware, but going forward, what is the approximate cost for making this stuff?
Yeah, so it costs it's less than $1 a bottle to make. So, and it's basically 7 cents an ounce is typically what it ends up being, which if you're buying a Lysol disinfectant spray, for example, those are, US dollars. So, 40, 42 cents an ounce. It depends on the product, but it's dramatic cost savings. Now, if you're someone who uses bleach, for example, diluted bleach, it's not going to save you money, but most people who are in, a dental practice or medical practice want to use something that where they don't have to worry about the harmful fumes and residues. So they're looking for safer products anyway. And so, it's for them, it would definitely deliver a pretty dramatic cost savings.
Also, I'm going to say this, it's better for our environment. You're not throwing away. You got reusable bottles, and you're using water that you have available, and these capsules don't take up too much room. And so
yeah, you're right. I think one of the big benefits of it that people aren't thinking about too much right now because they have so many other concerns, but the fact that this completely eliminates single-use plastic bottles is great. Now with the epidemic, we've sort of set aside our environmental concerns, because we're so worried about health. But at least with force of nature, you don't really have to make that trade-off. The other thing is that this because it's a cleaner and a disinfectant together, you can use it to replace other types of products. So I don't know if in your practice, do you use like a separate cleaner for glass surfaces, or do you have deodorizers?
We do. So we have multiple cleaners. It seems like I go into that stock cupboard and it seems like there's different ones. We do use a lot of different ones, like for glass, for the operatories, for the bathrooms, for the front area, for the kitchen, the staff area. We have different, they have some crossover, but there is a fair bit of them. Probably, you saying this could replace most of those?
Yeah, that's one thing that people really appreciate about it, because you can replace your separate surface cleaners with one cleaner. So you can replace your glass cleaner, your
Mhm.
deodorizers, your bathroom cleaners, disinfectant sprays, wipes, etc., with one cleaner. So just the simplicity aspect of it, I think a lot of people appreciate, which is, that helps too from a whole environmental
Yeah,
profile standpoint.
totally agree. So we talked a little about EPA research and research. Are there any other areas where Force of Nature has done research besides EPA regulatory testing? Do you have any examples of that? Like, what other things have you guys been doing?
Yeah, one of the things that we wanted to do when we were first looking at the technology was to understand how it cleaned versus typical cleaning products. So we knew from a disinfecting and germ kill standpoint that it was very effective, because we had done our EPA testing. But from a cleaning standpoint, so cleaning different surfaces, oil, grease, soap scum, um, smudges, things like that. We wanted to understand how it performed, and also deodorizing was a big one. So we did do a large research study with one of the top labs and research institutes on cleaning technologies, particularly more environmentally friendly cleaning technologies, at the University of Massachusetts, which is kind of in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's called TURI, the Toxic Use Reduction Institute. They're sort of the thought leaders in terms of more eco-friendly cleaning technologies, and they do a ton of research. So we did research with them. We had them perform the research to look at how Force of Nature performed versus all the top typical cleaning brands. So for example, how does Force of Nature do on glass versus Windex? How does it do on soap scum versus scrubbing bubbles?
Mhm.
How does it do on deodorizing versus Febreze? So we took all the major surfaces and the major brands and tested versus them. And Force of Nature tested parity, so as effective as those top brands, but obviously with no toxic chemicals. So that's really what we were hoping to see, because we didn't want people to have to make a trade-off on cleaning performance to have a safer product.
Yeah.
So on both cleaning and disinfecting, we were able to show that it's just as effective as the um, traditional products that don't have nearly as strong safety profiles, so that you don't have those trade-offs.
That's great. That's great. Now, the question, I know you're based in the United States, and I'll just disclosure, I bought this unit and from your website, and it came to Ontario very quickly. So other than your own website, where do you know in Canada where dentists can get this if they choose to?
Yeah, they can at Bisco Canada. We just within the last couple of weeks launched,
Okay.
so they can find us there as well.
Okay, so what I'll do is when I post this video to my group, I will also have the links to your website and Bisco's website. So as you can see, it's finished. And during our time of our interview, it has changed. And I'm in the room with it. I will tell you, it smells clean. Like you get that clean smell. I don't know what it is. It just reminds me of cleaning. I'm sitting here and it's not a huge odor, but when I first put it in, you could definitely sense something was happening. And now it's done, and that can be poured into the bottle, and you can use it for 2 weeks. Um, Now, I want to say thank you very much. Anyone who's considering using this product can go to their website. They have lots of great facts on Force of Nature. I read up a little bit on them prior to buying this. I've had this now for about 3 weeks. We use it at home as well. We use it around, and Melissa and I were talking earlier. When I travel, this is actually pretty easy to take with you, which it fits in a suitcase pretty easy, and the capsules are small. They actually, they actually fall within something you can actually bring on your carry-on. So, and you just need water, and you can use it if you're going to, we're telling her we're going to a resort. If you're going somewhere where you want to bring some extra cleaning, this is very easy to bring with you. So I think this product is a great idea for not only dentists, but other people to look at things that, like we said earlier, we have kind of put the environment on the back burner. And, we even amongst my team in the office, we've discussed, we used to go through X number of garbage bags, and now that's like double and triple because of
I
all the stuff
bet.
we have to use. And, we don't think about that, but at some point we're going to have to, because the initial phase of COVID-19 will pass, and we'll have different things available, but we got to be at least conscious of the planet that we live on. So I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you taking this time. So we will post the links to it. If you have any questions, you reach out to myself or anyone at Force of Nature or Bisco Canada if you're in Canada, because I do know they do sell it. So anyways, thank
Yes.
you very much.
Thank you.